It is said that life gives you a second chance. I have my disagreement. I believe that life keeps on giving you chances. It's up to you if you want to take that chance or not. And I don't say this as a quote that I have read somewhere. I say this with experience. This is what I have lived and experienced throughout my life. At 19, I was severely depressed. At 20, I had taken to alcohol because of that depression. By 21, I was an alcoholic, an out and out hopeless alcoholic who would start and end his day with alcohol. And at 26, that alcoholism had led me into an ailment where doctor gave me only a 15% chance of survival. My vital organs were not functioning and I was put on life support. Namaskar, my name is Vijay Vikram Singh. I am an MBA by qualification and a voiceover artist and an actor by profession. You would have definitely heard my voice in one of the reality shows or the other, be it Indian Idol, be it Dance India Dance, be it Super Dancer, be it MasterChef India. I have also given my voice to a lot of ad films, commercials, and I have dubbed for English movies in Hindi as well. But my claim to fame is that I am the narrator's voice on the biggest reality show in India, which is Bigg Boss. So the voice which tells you, दोपहर 12 बजे बिग बॉस ने विजय विक्रम सिंह को टेड टॉक में बातें करने के लिए बुलाया, वो मेरी आवाज है. Over this course of conversation of around 18 to 20 minutes, I'll be talking about my journey and my learnings from that journey. I'll start with my early life. I was born and brought up in Kanpur, a small town in Uttar Pradesh, into a family that was middle class, but eventually my father lost a lot of money in business and we had to experience extreme poverty while we were growing up. But our parents ensured that all three of us, my elder brother, me and my sister, received the best of education. I always wanted to be an army officer, but I prepared myself for that. And when I graduated, I started appearing for Combined Defense Services examination. I cleared them and eventually I appeared for 8 SSBs, SSB Services Selection Board, which is the interview process for entry into Army, Navy or Air Force as an officer. And I failed 8 times. All the 8 times in a span of 3 years, I failed. And I was not prepared for that failure. That failure, that realization that I cannot be an army officer led me into severe depression, which, pushed me towards alcohol, and I started drinking, and I started drinking like a maniac. In between all of this, I also appeared for CAT and scored 92 percentile. I took admission in Faculty of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University, and my specialization in the MBA that I was doing was international business. So life was actually not that bad, but in my head, my life was bad and I was a worthless creature because I could not be an army officer. I had no plan B, unfortunately. And all this culminated into me drinking so much that one fine day on January 31st, 2005, I collapsed, and I was working in JP Cement at that time, and I was posted in a place called Satna, which is a small town in Madhya Pradesh. I was diagnosed with severe acute pancreatitis with the renal failure, and Satna was not equipped to deal with such an ailment. So I was referred to Sanjay Gandhi PGI, which is in Lucknow, which is one of the best medical institutes, and I owe my life to them. But when I was being admitted over there, the doctor bluntly told my mother that all his vital organs are not functioning. His kidney and liver are not functioning. His lung has 70% water, high infection, and his chances of survival are merely 10 to 15%. It's most probably a wastage of money investing in his treatment. What should we do? And my mother, the resolute lady that she is, stood up to the doctor and said, "You do your job, I will do mine." And that was very brave of her to say that for someone who has led himself into this situation, and for a family which was struggling for money at that time. But my struggles had just started. In the next 30 days, when I was in the critical care unit of SGPGI and I underwent 4 or 5 dialysis, I was on life support, and one day, I think on the 15th day, my immune system was very weak and I suffered from pneumonia and I experienced death from close quarters. To this date, that thought, that memory gives me goosebumps, makes me very, very emotional. But yes, and that day I really saw death from close quarters. And that day I realized that that is not as beautiful as it has been made out to be. I'm sure you would have read a lot about death, poets talking about death. There's a beautiful poetry in Anand which says, मौत तो एक कविता है, मुझसे कविता का वादा है, मिलेगी मुझको डूबती नब्ज में जब दर्द को नींद आने लगे, जर्द सा चेहरा लिए चांद उफक तक पहुंचे, दिन अभी पानी में हो, रात किनारे के करीब, ना अंधेरा ना उजाला, ना आधी रात न दिन हो, जिस्म जब जुदा हो और रूह को सांस आए, मुझसे कविता का वादा है, मिलेगी मुझको. In reality, death is not even 1% as beautiful as it is made out to be. It's scary. Fortunately, that night, I survived. I survived to tell my story. Another 15-20 days, miraculously, my vital organs started showing signs of recovery, and I recovered really well to be discharged from the hospital. Just before discharge, they told my parents to walk me a little. I tried standing up. I could not because I was very, very weak. I had lost some 25-30 kgs. I was absolutely a skeleton. And I remember trying to get up, but I could not, but I wanted to. And my parents, my brother and my mother, they supported me. And with their support, I walked a little and reached a window of corridor. That was the first time in around 25 days that I'd seen sunlight. But that sunlight changed my perspective towards life. That sunlight was a light of positivity for me. And that was the day I decided that I'm going to fight it out. And I'm going to make a meaningful life out of it. I never thought that I'd be famous or what I'll do, I didn't know. But I said to myself that no more negativity. And I think that changed my life. I always believe that we are all victims of our thought process. And I personally was victim of my thought process at that time. And the moment that thought process changed, everything around me changed. So it took me another 3 months to recover completely and be on my feet. But after that, things started happening. I got into a very, very, very nice job after that in the public sector undertaking under Ministry of Steel. I was looking after import financing. And I was transferred to Bombay. So when I was in Bombay, I thought my career is set. I am into a government job and that is it. What else can someone ask for? And within, I think, an year of being transferred into Bombay, a friend's friend told me that you have a good voice. And I said, yeah, but I can't sing. So, I didn't know that there was a career that existed that you can make out of your voice. I told Shivangni that I can't sing. She said, no, there's a lot that you can do with your voice other than singing. And she took me to a studio for an audition, which was pathetic because I had never faced the mic. But, and the engineer said that, he does have a decent voice, but he really has to work hard on it. It was very discouraging, but I was, at that time, I realized that this is my calling. I loved that experience. And at 28, I decided that I found my calling and I will now work towards it. But it was not as if I plunged completely, immediately into another career of voicing, left everything and plunged into voicing. I didn't do that. I did some research. I quit my government job, took up a job in a radio station so that in the sales team, so that I could understand how media functions and what all I need to do to be a voice artist. And trust me, media sales is one of the toughest jobs that you can do, especially radio, because at that time in 2007, we not only had to sell airtime for our station, we first had to sell the medium, which was radio, because radio was not that acceptable a medium for advertisers. So we first used to sell the medium that, this really works, radio really works. And then I used to sell my station, which was Big 92.7 FM, which was under Reliance at that time, Reliance ADAG Group. So, but, I slogged myself for 2.5 years just to understand how media functions, to train myself, and I was really lucky to have supportive bosses who got me trained in voicing, let me do a lot of voicing stuff in their studios after my job. And in 2009, I got engaged to Gitanjali, and I told her that, look, this job which I have right now, which has a wonderful package, this I might not have a few months, a few years down the line, because I plan to get into voicing eventually. And she said, why at a later stage? Why not now? Right now we're getting married, I have a job, and once we have kids and all the responsibilities, we might not able to explore or experiment. So do it right now. So that push, that last push that was needed, was given to me by her, and I took that plunge and took up voiceover as a career in 2009 when Dance India Dance Season 1 was launched. I was given the opportunity by Mr. Ashish Golwalkar, who's my mentor, to be the voice of that show, and that changed my life. So life gave me another chance and I grabbed it. And then 2010, I received a mail from Endemol India, which is the production house which produces Big Brother, or Big Brother Worldwide and Big Boss in India, that they're looking for narrator's voice on that show. And I also went and gave my CD, and then I was called for an audition, and I still remember within one day of giving the audition, I was called to discuss monies, and I was finalized for the show, and I don't think I've ever been so happy as I was on that day. That show has changed my life and continues to be one of the biggest show in my career, in my CV. We are in the 14th season of that show as I speak today. So life changed after Big Boss happened. A lot of things became really easy. Then life continued for another 5 years, and in 2014 I realized that probably I have started being repetitive in my voicing journey, and I need to do something or train myself a little more to be better in this craft. And someone suggested that you should try doing theatre, do theatre workshops, because that'll improve your adaigi, your expressions, and eventually that'll help you find new grounds in voiceovers as well. So with the thought of improving my voicing abilities, I started doing a little theatre. I did a workshop with Barry John, and here also Gitanjali pushed me into it. I was thinking of doing it, but she was the one who pushed it. While doing that workshop with Barry, and post that doing some theatre, I realized that I have started loving the whole process of acting, and I started doing more and more theatre. I did a lot of plays with my group, Abhyuday Tamhankar, who cast me in Alexander vs. Chanakya in the role of Chanakya at that time. And then I thought that if I'm loving it, let me explore it more in terms of learning the craft a little more. So I worked with Jeff Goldberg to understand method acting. I worked with Saurabh Sachdeva to understand Meisner technique a little bit. And in 2018, as luck would have it, so I also coach a lot of actors in voice. Mr. Mukesh Chawda, who's one of the biggest casting directors in the country, called me to coach one of the leading actors of his film for voice, and that's when he asked me that, I heard you act as well. I said, yeah, I do. And then he asked me, why haven't you come for an introduction or audition ever? I said, I never got the time, but I'm happy doing theatre. And he said, would you want to give an audition? I was more than happy to do that. And he auditioned me for the character of Ajit in Family Man, and that's how I made my debut in front of the camera with a show called Family Man, which will be into its second season soon. So all in all, so basically 2015 life gave me another chance and I grabbed it. So the point over here is that life keeps on giving you chances, life keeps on presenting you with opportunities. It's up to you to recognize those opportunities and grab them with both hands. One more thing that I've realized is the importance of stress in life. Stress is not always bad. Please remember, we associate stress with negative emotion, but stress is not always bad. There is something called eustress, EU stress, and distress. Distress is, of course, the stress that breaks you, the stress that we associate stress with. But EU stress or eustress is the positive stress that brings the best out of you. That deadline to submit a project, that deadline to meet that sales target. I find all that stress to be very, very positive stress, because that is pushing you towards your limit. We as human beings are designed in a way, our mind functions in a way where we tend to get into our comfort zone really easily, and we tend to think that this is it. So pushing the limit is very, very important, and stress plays an important role in pushing that limit. So always look for those positive stress. Don't always look for stress as something which is really bad. Of course, there's a very, very thin line, but experience teaches you how to differentiate between positive stress and the stress that can break you. So stress is not always bad, and negative stress can always lead you into depression, but please understand that, please try and look at positives that is happening around you. It's easier said than done when you are in that state of mind, but it is important to not lose your rationality and sanity when you are depressed or when you're undergoing a negative emotion. So it's very, very important to try and keep negativity at bay. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. Another thing that I've realized in this creative journey is the importance of insecurity. Now, these are all negative words, but they can have a positive connotation. So, your insecurity can lead you into trying different things. Your insecurity should not make you cynical, or your insecurity should not make you negative. Your insecurity should make you start exploring yourself more. So try and be a little insecure always. That's the way I have progressed in life, and that's the way I think it should be. Your insecurities should lead you into doing or exploring yourself a little more, pushing yourself a little more. So all these negative emotions that we think and talk of, you can actually utilize them. You can actually utilize them in a very, very positive way if you just change your outlook. This is what I have learned in my life. And also, please remember, these days you hear a lot of upskilling. It's very, very important to keep doing that. Why? Because if you continue upskilling yourself, if you continue learning new things, your mind will be used to changes. As we grow older, the acceptability towards change keeps going down. We become prone to not accepting change. So if you keep upskilling yourself, if you keep learning new things continuously, that resistance will keep going down. That resistance will not be there, and it'll help you progress a lot. So I will end my conversation with one very beautiful line which says, मन का हो तो अच्छा, मन का ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. उसके पीछे कारण ये है, the reason that Dr. Bachchan gave for this particular line is that मन का हो तो बहुत अच्छा है, मन का हो तो अच्छा, तो आपको बहुत सुकून मिलता है, बहुत खुशी मिलती है. लेकिन आपके मन का जब नहीं होता है तो आपको बुरा लगता है. लेकिन उसमें आपको बुरा नहीं लगना चाहिए, क्योंकि जब आपके मन का नहीं हो रहा है तो ऊपर वाले के मन का हो रहा है, और ऊपर वाला आपका बुरा कभी नहीं चाह सकता. सो मन का हो तो अच्छा, मन का ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. With this thought, I thank you for your time, and I hope that I could change a little bit about you, or I could bring about a little bit change in your thought process, in your professional lives, in your journey towards achieving your best. Namaskar.